If you've been following me for a while, you know that my bike shop was super family focused, and I had the opportunity to sell all of the highest quality kids bikes. So I've sold and my kids have tested dozens of great kids bikes. And with that in mind, I'm gonna give you my opinions of the Prevelo Alpha 3 20-inch kids bike. The Prevelo Alpha 3 is a high quality, lightweight, 20-inch kids bike. It is great for riding on paved roads and trails and some really light off-roading. But is it the right bike for your kid? In this video, I hope to help you figure this out. We will cover the main features and benefits and my personal pros and cons as a mechanic, and most importantly, as a mom. Quick disclaimer before we get started, I did purchase this when I owned the bike shop, and I'll tell you why this was the perfect bike for my daughter. What are we going to be talking about today?
I'm not sure.
Do you have any idea?
Riding my bike,
Yeah. What are your favorite things about your bike?
it's really fast.
Very important, right? Is there anything on your bike that you really like?
My pedals.
You really like your pedals. We switched out your pedals so they're pink. Do you use the gears?
Yeah, a lot.
And how do you know when to shift?
When I want to go fast, I usually make it go hard.
All right, so should we go ride it?
Yeah.
Key features of the Prevelo Alpha 3. Probably the most important feature for the Prevelo kids bikes is going to be standover height. At 17.5 inches, this is the lowest available 20-inch kids bike that I could find in the United States. In a second, I will talk a little bit more about that bike fit, so give me a second to get through the features. The next key feature is going to be weight. This is a premium kids bike and it weighs 18.9 pounds. Currently, the price of this is $539. It comes in 3 colors, silver, blue, and purple. And it has 9-speed shifting using trigger shifting, not grip shift. And then the last thing is it's using V-brakes and not disc brakes, which are plenty for most kids on a 20-inch kids bike. Those were the key features. So let's switch to the benefits. Before I do switch, do me a favor and like this video. So hit like, hit subscribe, and leave a comment before you go. So here are some of my key advantages for the Prevelo. When you are looking at a premium kids bike, there are typically a few reasons. The fit of the bike, the weight of the bike, and then any specialty parts, like if you're looking at a higher end mountain bike. The Alpha 3 is mostly aluminum. It comes in at only 18.9 pounds. I've been tracking kids' bike weight for a while. I'll put a link below to the Google sheet that I use. And this is a pretty lightweight bike. It is not the lightest 20-inch all-purpose kids bike you can buy, but it is very lightweight. And this really matters. When your kid weighs 40 to 50 pounds, you don't want the bike to weigh more than half of their weight. The next really important thing that we talk about in kids biking is their standover height. I'll put a link below of an article I wrote on how to get your kids' standover height, but their inseam with shoes is the most critical part of figuring out what bike to buy them because they need to be able to fit it confidently, stand over it confidently, and you want to buy the biggest bike possible that isn't too big. So this standover height is going to be 17.5 inches. As I mentioned, it is the lowest standover height for a 20-inch kids bike I could find. And that is why we ended up purchasing it for my daughter. She needed gears. And at 4.5, I think, when she moved to this bike, she needed gears, and this was the lowest standover height we could find, which meant she could get into the 20-inch wheels and shifting sooner than the next closest 20-inch bike model. That's ultimately why we decided on the Prevelo. And then the last thing about fit, and this could be advantage or disadvantage depending on your kid. The Prevelo kids bikes lean over a little bit more than, say, a Womb kids bike. If your kid rides fast, aggressive, they're confident, this bike may feel more comfortable to them. My daughter fits in this category. She likes to ride quickly, and the nimble ride of the Prevelo is something she prefers. Now, there are other things like the custom parts that make the bike fit a kid well, but honestly, all high-end premium kids bikes have those advantages these days. Finally, one of the last key benefits I don't take lightly when spending this much money on a kid's bike is the company behind it. Prevelo is owned by a father, hey Jacob, that wanted better bikes for their kids. He is doing it for the right reasons, making good choices, and he takes care of the families that buy their bikes. I can also say this about Womb, just an FYI, they are both wonderful companies that I feel confident putting my name behind, putting my kids on, and paying full retail for an expensive kids bike, which we'll get to that pricing in a second. Talking about the key disadvantages of the Prevelo Alpha 3, I'm going to first list the things I wish were different, and then some things that you should just know about that may matter to you and maybe don't at all. It comes with a 20 by 1.5 inch tire, great all-around hybrid tire. But if you're truly mountain biking on this bike, you'll probably want to look at a different bike, either Prevelo's own mountain bike line or Womb's new offline. The Alpha 3 does okay with hard packed dirt, but I wouldn't go truly mountain biking because of the tire width. The Alpha 3 does not have an adjustable stem like the Womb 20-inch model. This is one key feature that Womb has for this size, and it allows the bike to fit differently and also grow with the kid a little bit better. Now moving on to things that are not so important but worth mentioning. Lower standover height means your kid may grow out of this bike faster. I don't necessarily look at this as a bad thing because I want to put my kid in the biggest bike possible that they feel comfortable with. And the good news is Prevelo and other bikes like Womb keep their value. So if you think of it as just a short-term investment, it's okay. I'm seeing these bikes sell for 70 to 85% of what people are buying them for. So think of it as an investment in your kids to have that bike that's lighter, fits them well, and it's going to get them to ride hopefully more often with you. The last con or just thing you should think about would be the limited colors. It comes in the silver, the purple, and the blue. Well, none of those colors are interesting to my daughter. So we got the silver one and then we outfitted it with a bunch of pink parts. And as you may have heard, the pink pedals are her favorite part. So accessorizing the bike was fun to her, and it's something easy for me to do as a bike mechanic. So just keep that in mind. Making sure your kids are stoked about their bike and really excited to show it off and ride it around can be important depending on your kid. So be prepared to maybe add stickers, add color, and make it their own. This is where we get to my conclusion and overall recommendations. If you are trying to find a 20-inch bike and shifting's important and you want to get them on the bike as quickly as possible, this is going to be one of the smallest bikes available in the US to make this happen. If your kid likes to rip in turns, this is also a great option. And finally, it's one of the lighter options, so if that really matters to you, check out the Alpha 3. Is it the best 20-inch kids bike available? That really depends on your kid. The Womb Off, Cannondale Quick, Trailcraft all make really cool 20-inch kids bikes that may be worth looking at as well. Now, as my daughter is sizing out of the 20-inch and getting ready for a 24-inch, I'll be looking again at Prevelo specifically due to that lower standover height because it's going to allow her to get into the next size. And it checks off all of our needs. It's going to be fast and nimble for her. We're going to color coordinate, and it's a good hybrid bike where she can hit dirt paths and pavement and ride around the neighborhood. And I'm not worried about her getting a flat or anything like that. If we were mountain biking a ton, I would probably be looking at the Woom Offline, but that's not her cup of tea. We go for joy rides as a family, and that's what she enjoys doing. That leads me to my question of the day for you, and that's just, I would love to hear from you. What kind of biking do you do with your kids? What bike are they riding, and what do you like about it? What made you choose that bike? And what would you do differently for your next kids' bike? Thanks for watching. Make sure you leave a comment and hit that like button. It really matters. And until next time, stay well, stay good, and remember, move for tomorrow.